Eddie Van Halen here, telling you, keep playing, man. Gotta keep playing. It's the only thing there is. Music, man. Keep playing. All right? I'm gonna come looking for you if you don't.
Enough of that, right? I'm a little nervous tonight. We got a really special guest, so messing up a little bit. That's okay. It is TransTrem Thursday on 9/14/2023, and it's 8:06 p.m., and we have got a fantastic show for you tonight. We have a very special guest from Headless USA, Natalie Thayer. We'll get her in here in just a minute, and as we get started tonight, we are going to bring in our co-host. There they are. We've got Mr. John Shane.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome in, John.
I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. I've been really excited about this, hearing some more about Headless USA, some little history, and just talking about Steinberger and the TransTrem. You know, obviously anybody that's new to the channel, you know, you can see that I'm a big Eddie fan. Got the Steinberger TransTrem GL2T all tricked out. You can see my wall of sound back there. Got the wet, dry, wet rig running. And always been a big fan of Eddie's tone, and that's kind of what I've been after. And the TransTrem kind of just completes that. And yeah, a lot of fun jamming out.
Every time you play Summer Nights, dude. My God.
Yeah, I should have practiced a little before I came down tonight.
It's all good.
Yeah, we're all having fun. It's all about smiles, and you can see the big smile on my face from doing that. So, all right, we got Trev waiting to come in here. Let's get him in here. Submit your Trev. Welcome in, Trev.
Fabulous intro, brother. It never gets old. Every Thursday is just like
never gets old. Never gets old. I'm gonna play that stuff every day. Never gets old. So, what's been going on with you fellas today? Days going good?
another day in paradise. Yeah.
Right on. Well, let's get over to our channel members here.
Brotherhood
Just a quick thanks to all of our channel members. We do have channel membership on the channel if you'd like to help us out. It's a monthly membership, helps to support the channel, helps us to keep the content coming and channel growing. And we certainly appreciate all of our channel members that have
each and every
helped
one.
out with the channel. And we had a newest addition that I just added right before the show. I saw it right before I came in, so we'll give him a shout out here. Let's go over. There it is. We got Neil has become YouTube channel member. Appreciate you, Neil. I swear that sounds like R2 every time I hear that.
He's
Welcome aboard, Neil.
Yeah, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. All right, let's get back over to the chat. So real quick, let's go through and let's see who we have here. We have, look at there, newest one in was Neil. First one into the chat today. Welcome in. Glad to have you. Channel member Rob Blackmore Official's in the chat. There's R2R3, channel member. Let's see, channel member Herb of Fireside Studio. Welcome in. We've got Stephen Franklin, channel member. We got Joe is here. Welcome in, Joe. Channel member Joe. We got channel member Mr. Mick. Welcome in. And the greasiest of greasy, Greasy Monkey Guitars is here. We've got All Dave All Night is here as well.
Right on.
We've got Symmetry right there. We got Six Fingered Assault.
Cheers, Miles.
And let's see, who else we got? Mr. Ferd Burfel. And
Ferd.
let's see. Looking for additional channel members that are here tonight. I could have swore I saw Stephen Franklin somewhere. There's All Dave All Night. Welcome in.
Mm-hmm.
May have said hi to you already. We're going to say it again.
Why not?
Why not? Let's see, who else do we have here?
Mazel.
Pretty sure I saw Stephen Franklin somewhere in there. If I missed you, Stephen, I'm sorry.
Adam?
Welcome in.
Stephen Franklin. He comes up as an at, so he's there. There he is.
Yeah, there he is. There he is. Welcome in, Mr. Franklin. And there's Bo right behind him, stumbling in. Welcome
Howdy,
in.
Bo.
Tarman 45, good to see you. So, let's get started. Let's get our guest in here.
Fantastic.
Let me get this out of the way here. There we go. So, without any further ado, let's welcome in Miss Natalie Thayer with Headless USA. Welcome in, Natalie.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Very, very nice to meet you. You know, we had been conversing a little bit over the phone and messages and so forth and trying to get all this worked out. But it's a pleasure to meet you face to face, I guess, virtually here. So thank you very much for coming on and talking with us tonight. We are greatly appreciative of you coming and sharing some of your knowledge with the Headless USA guitars.
Well, thanks for having me. You know, it's been a pleasure so far in backstage, you know, talking to you guys and getting to know your stories.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Well, you know, I touched briefly on it. So a little bit of history about the channel. Really started out just recently with the channel, just in January, really officially getting started and going. And we've reached over 1,000 subscribers so far. I think we're up to 1,130, something like that. So just in 7-8 months, where we in September now. So almost 9 months going. So basically the channel was built on just my love of, Eddie Van Halen's tone, his sound, his music, the guitars. I'm a big EVH guitar fan. And then obviously, the Steinberger GL2T. This, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is my ultimate favorite guitar that I have ever played. It's the best playing guitar. I think it's the best sounding. And the TransTrem is just a phenomenal bridge. I like my Floyd Rose guitars, but there's just something about this TransTrem when you play it, the stuff that you can do with it, it's just amazing. So that's kind of where this channel came from. And we just been having a lot of fun doing it. If nobody came and watched us, we would just enjoy hanging out and playing guitar with each other. So
It's awesome.
yeah.
Well, your playing was awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Obviously it's, not the best that's out there, but it's adequate. But I appreciate it.
I like all the effects.
Yeah, I've got the wet, dry, wet rig. I actually have the same SDE 3000s that Ed used in his rig. It's not the same Eventide unit that he had, but I do have an Eventide Eclipse back there. So I try to get it as close as I can. Live without a net, for me, is what did it. When I saw Live Without a Net, heard that tone, and then saw him playing that GL2T with Get Up and Summer Nights, I was like, I gotta eventually, get that sound, be able to do some of that, at the very least. So that's kind of, my background on the channel and so forth, and where we've come from. I've met these guys, through the community. So it's kind of been a fun time. We enjoy it. Everybody in the chat kind of enjoys hanging out with each other. And so that's the kind of the history of our channel. So let's talk about you and your history now with Headless USA. Can you kind of tell us? I know that when I purchased this guitar, I conversed with Don, and I was so sorry to hear that he had passed away. So tell us how you kind of came about to be involved, and what your status with Headless USA, and the history of it, where it's going, what your plans are.
Yeah, sure. So, it starts off, knowing Don maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and, bonding over, we both are obsessed with rock and roll, especially classic rock. Both Deadheads, into the band, Neil Young. And, I'd visit Don, and he'd play, and he was awesome, at playing. And he always had these strange guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really understood it. Eric Clapton didn't play that. Who played that? Why do you like that? I never really understood like the proximity to Newberg, or what he liked about them, because I couldn't really see who played them, or like I always loved the gear,
Mm-hmm.
Who played what, and I never gained an interest, but we always were close about that. I had someone close to me pass away from cancer in 21. So, me and Don, even though I moved down to Florida during the pandemic, we shared songs pretty much every day or every other day.
Nice.
And, he got sick, and he told me. And when he got sick, I knew a little bit about what was going on. So I spoke to his doctors, and I came up here, and I ended up taking care of Don.
Mm-hmm.
And, Don meant a lot to me. We were very close. And when he was sick in the hospital, all I cared about was keeping Headless USA running. So I thought my goal of coming up here was to provide some, emotional and physical support in his situation. But all Don cared about was me keeping the business running.
Yeah,
and
wow.
I did it just to kind of make him happy, saying like I got these orders out, or we got this restoration out, just just kind of give him peace in his final days.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Don's final wish to leave Headless USA to me. and for me to keep it running. So at first, it was absolutely uh, absolutely I don't even know how to describe it.
A little
I came into
overwhelming.
this world knowing nothing, not even knowing what a TransTrem was. Um, and little by little, it was the community of people that like these instruments that started to rub off on me. So it started with the people. Why are
Right.
they so why are they so
Passionate,
interested? And then, even 80s music and Eddie Van Halen, that started to rub off on me. I watched Summer Nights and I saw Eddie Van Halen smoke a cigarette from the end of his
Right.
GL.
Yeah. The old. Yep. Yep.
And little by little, it became my world and, my passion. And I feel very fortunate because it could have gone one of two ways. It could have gone where I just had no interest or no desire, or did it, to make ends meet or whatever. But instead, the opposite happened, and I completely fell in love.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Just the brief history that I had with Don. Most of it was text messaging over, guitars that he had ready or guitars that he thought that would fit what I wanted. And just stories that he would tell. Sometimes a message would come through just in the middle of the day, and it would be, this long on the phone, and it would just be his passion coming through about the guitars. And I would talk to him on the phone, while we were getting the order ready and so forth. And just I could tell that he was just so passionate about, the Steinberger brand and the guitars and the history that he had with it. So it's awesome to see that you've kind of picked up that same passion and it's going to carry it on with the Headless USA. Very cool.
One of my biggest regrets is the one person I want to talk to about this, or like, to share this passion with. I can't, because he's, and it's so bittersweet that like I care so much and like love it so much now.
Yeah,
But I feel very fortunate to have so many people to share it with, and Ned has been amazing. Hap Kuffner, Jeff Babbicks. There's just my friend Jim Bridges. So many amazing people.
Right. Now, Headless USA, obviously, it's well known that Jeff does a lot of the restorations. He has his own company, Babbitt's. What is the name of his company? Is it Babbitt's Guitars or?
Yeah, so his company is Babbitt's Guitars, and he specializes in bridges. And yeah, he does. He's got a really cool story about his bridges. They're actually full contact, and he was telling me a little bit about the story about how he makes them for ZZ Top, and it goes all the way back to them using light gauge strings, because B.B. King told them to use light gauge strings.
Right.
So when you're playing on the sevens or whatever they're playing on, you need the full contact.
Right. Nice.
So,
Nice. Yeah,
he's making some roller saddles that are going to be brass, and I'm really excited. They should be incredible.
Yeah, very cool. I've seen a lot of his stuff as far as, like you said, the full contact bridges. Does he still make the guitars? I remember seeing the acoustic guitars that the strings came out on the rear of it, kind of a spread out for better resonance and so forth. Does he still do those guitars, or?
I believe he does. He engineers things, and he's constantly, making things different and making things better. And I believe he's even coming out with like a headless bridge. So yeah, he may be making those, but I know Jeff, he's probably moving on to other things as well.
Right.
Now, I don't want you to speak for him, but do you know if he feels like kind of the TransTrem is an old piece of technology and we should move on from it, or would he be all for having that mass produced and put on new guitars? Does he feel like it's still a current thing that would be well received even today?
I can't speak for Jeff, but I think he appreciates TransTrems and even enjoys playing with them. And I think he would be thrilled to see, them being produced in any capacity, especially
Introduced.
on Steinbergers.
I know there is a lot of fans and a lot of guitar players out there that would like to see it eventually. Yeah, there's one sitting right up
This guy
there.
right here.
You know, I got to tell you, I mean, after getting this one and playing with it, it's so much fun, and just the creativity that it would bring out of people like Eddie. You know, for sure. I've heard. I don't know what you read and what you hear in reports and so forth, but I've heard, and you may be able to confirm this, but I've heard that when Ned Steinberger gave Eddie the GL2T, that he said that he was one of the first ones that actually understood it and did musical things with it,
Able
like
to
he
utilize it, right?
like he expected it to be utilized. Is there some truth to that story?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yep. Eddie Van Halen was definitely the person that was, in my opinion, utilized the TransTrem the most.
Mm-hmm.
You have other people, you have Vito Bratta, you have many other people who used it well, but I definitely think Eddie Van Halen, it was just a beautiful tool, his instrument
Yep.
and him.
He kind of
100%.
understood the concept and you know he understood the assignment basically, you know, with the TransTrem.
And he was smart enough to use it,
Yeah.
right? Musically.
Yeah, yeah. I was always just amazed, you know, you would hear, or at least, you know, back in the day when new music was coming out, and I remember when, you know, I'd listen to a song and I'd be like, yep, there's the TransTrem, I can hear it. And he would be doing just really, really cool stuff with it, you know. It's just amazing, that type of, you know, artistic expression and just genius. Genius one for Ned Steinberger building the thing. I mean, I can't imagine, I've said it many times on the show, just the amount of thought process and calculations and trial and error that he must have gone through to produce that bridge. Just must have been crazy.
I wonder how much of it was, you know, taking a stab at something, or the math. How much mathematical going on behind the scenes before you.
Well, obviously there had to be a bunch of tests
Right.
to get the, you know, tension rates of a string and
So when
figure
you get
out
a
how.
Vega machine and you see what the tensile strength of is each string at each note, and I mean,
Yeah,
you go that
that's
far.
just one of those things that just boggles my mind that he was able to figure this thing out. So
I mean,
just-
even the difference between the version 1 and the version 2.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
I've only seen it in pictures, but
Yeah.
And, Eddie played on a version 1.5.
So his was converted to
Hybrid.
1.5.
Yeah, I have one here.
Oh, yeah.
That's the exact specs.
Awesome.
You'll forward that off to me once the show's over, right?
Absolutely. I can show it to you guys.
Just to do a review.
Speaking of which, John, not the guitar, but Natalie has generously offered to offer a giveaway of a Headless USA guitar strap. So if you'd like to enter to win that, you just type in hashtag GL2T in the chat, and you'll be entered to win a Headless USA guitar strap. Guitar strap,
Fretless.
So
That's,
this is actually fretless.
fret cover.
Oh, there we go.
See, I knew
Psych.
that because I have one.
My Sir's like that as well. Look at that.
Oh, that's nice. So
So if you
very
look at
nice.
the bridge,
Now, what was the reason, do you know, from going from the version 1 to the version 2? Was it just production?
version 1 is difficult to use.
Okay. Okay.
Difficult to set up. It has probably the best, the best sustain and, best tone, but it's really difficult for the average person to set up and intonate.
Okay. So basically just ease of use for the end user was
More
the
finicky.
the reason for
That's
changing.
one of the reasons that I know
Okay.
why they made the switch.
Okay. Yeah, I've always
Yeah.
heard that tremolo system has a much better tone, but I don't see how it can get much better than than what I've got here in my lap here. So
You'll have to come over and play them all one day.
hey,
Oh,
invitation
boy,
accepted.
Wouldn't that be a
I'll be
field
there.
trip?
Yeah. Well, there's EVH Con. I think goes on in Connecticut. Is that where it is?
Yeah, somewhere around there in the New England area.
Yeah.
right?
So I mean, that may be something that you get an invite to, and maybe bring a couple of those.
That sounds
That'd go
fun.
over huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, if there's any questions, do you mind taking questions from the chat? Anybody in the chat? If you've got questions, just type them in. We'll try to get to them. A super chat would certainly help it stand out so we could see it. But if there's any questions in the chat, just start putting them in there and we'll see if we can get them. But well, I noticed that you've got some other guitars back there. What
Yeah, I see
else?
someone wrote a GM4T. I actually have a GM7T that I didn't actually take my GM4T down.
The hard case.
So I'll grab this.
Awesome.
Let's see. So this is actually a quilt sunburst that we had custom painted. Give me one second. So this is the strap style body
Look at that.
Mhm.
Wow, we.
in TransTrem.
Beautiful.
Super, super nice. Now, that one was refinished, you said?
Yes, this one was refinished. I have another one that has binding. So with the GMs, the GM4Ts, GM1Ts, a lot of them will have this beautiful binding, and that makes them much more desirable.
Right.
Wow.
Now, which ones hold? I know the GL2T probably holds the most value. Is that correct? What's kind of the step in value when you go from the GL2T down, as far as just like if you were to sell on Reverb, your GL2Ts are going to go for the most. So what's kind of if someone's looking for maybe a lesser expensive one, what would they look for?
If you want the cheapest one, I'd say get like a Q bass or get a P guitar. If you want like a GP with a TransTrem, that might be like your best entry level into a TransTrem. GL2T is going to be top of the line. Then you can get into your GL4Ts and GL7Ts. Some of the GL7T elites are really popular, especially in Japan. GM1T has like a really rock metal sound to a lot of people. GM4T in red is really popular in the Chinese market because there was a very famous Chinese player that played that. Yeah.
So it actually comes down to even the color of some makes them more valuable than others.
Yeah, you have the white GM for Vito Bratta.
Vito Bratta, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the GL2Ts, are they so expensive because there's just a limited number of them, or that just because that's the most popular one and that's the one everybody wants?
And there's, of course, the Edward factor.
They're
Yeah.
really expensive to me because of Eddie Van Halen.
The
Okay.
Edward factor.
Because people who play them are Eddie Van Halen fans, and they've always wanted one because of Eddie Van Halen.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine anybody like that. I mean,
Oh, I'd be happy
I
with the
could be
one you're
wrong,
going on.
but I have an inkling I'm not.
yeah,
That's a beautiful guitar.
it is
Love that.
super,
Yeah.
super nice. Now, is that
Love
one
that
for
one.
sale currently?
That one is for sale. I took it down because I have another GM7T that's a horizontal blue burst that we paint with binding that's on Reverb. And that one I'm selling for a customer, so I'd rather help him sell his guitar first.
Okay, gotcha. Understood. That's very, very cool. So, is Headless USA like the full-time thing for you, or is it kind of your secondary, if I may ask?
So I originally came to Poughkeepsie because I'm a jeweler, and I was working in a pawn store actually taking gold back to the city to sell it, like scrap gold and like whatever was left over. And I worked on 47th Street in New York City as like a diamond dealer for years. And
Nice.
when I first started with Headless USA, I thought I'd be continuing to do jewelry, but I just got so into it. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't care less. I sold a piece of jewelry like a few days ago, but it's like an afterthought to me now. I do get a kick out of, the fact that I sold carbon and now I'm still selling carbon.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I guess like what I was meant to do in my life is just sell carbon.
Right.
Yeah.
Carbon
This is a
based.
more musical form, though, so
That's right.
It's much better. So tell me a little bit about, I've always wondered because you get online and you look for these things and you can't find them. You might see one pop up on eBay or one that's on Reverb or something. And if you do find one, there's 3 advertised in Bangkok, and you're like, I'm not ordering from there. Where do you find them all? I mean, do you have like a special, researcher that finds all these guitars for you, or
Refreshing every 10 minutes on the search.
yeah? I mean, are you?
I'm very fortunate, and I think Don was very fortunate that it's my father always told me, like, you do best when you're buying. But in buying, in the jewelry world, was always like searching. But here, people are coming to us and have instruments to sell. So I always ask people, how much would you like for your instrument? And it's like yes or no. And there's always people selling instruments to us.
Okay.
However, I did go on, Sweetwater the other day and like pull the instrument off. That was like a GL2T. That was amazing.
Oh wow.
So every once in a while, you'll find something available online if you really search. So people who are looking for their dreams guitar, their dream Steinberger, it's out there. Just check every single day.
Yeah, you just got to
That's
keep
what I
looking
do.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're actually scouring just like everybody else. You just have more time to do it.
There you go, John.
Yeah, every single day when I'm eating breakfast.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I've always wanted, like the body that you just held up. I think you have one on Reverb right now. It's the black. Is it GM one?
Oh yeah, so that's the GM1T. So that's a very, very popular humbucker configuration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to have one of those with just the single humbucker. Now, are most Steinbergers? Do you know? I know this GL2T. From my understanding, it's a EMG 81 and 81. Is that the standard configuration for the GL2T, or were there different combinations?
For the GL2T, yes, but we have 81s, we have 87s, we have 89s, and I'm still learning all the humbucker configurations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still learning the active electronics and the has. So, yeah, I'm still learning with the exact configurations, but
Well,
That
do
kind
you?
of, that's, I mean, Bryce had a question while we're on the subject. Is there any
Ooh.
specific reason why we've gone with the EMG pickups?
that's a really, really good question. Why exactly do they always go with EMG pickups? At one point, they went with Bartolini for the Qs,
Heard good things.
but their preference was EMG. And I wish I could answer exactly why. That's a question I'd have to ask Jeff on Monday.
No problem.
Well, that would be cool to get a report back.
I know why
Because-
I know why they use Labella. They use Labella because proximity,
Mhm.
Okay,
and
yeah.
they ended up moving to Newburgh with Labella.
Nice. I must say that, I've tried, I'm not going to say brands, but since you said Labella, that is my preferred string. And actually, I buy them from you guys. So,
Nice.
yeah, I like the 1046 because they tend to last a bit longer. The 942s, I like the feel, but I pop strings on it because that summer nights, you got to go all the way up,
Work
and
it
that
How about
really.
a string adapter? Would you ever use a string adapter?
No, I think that that would. I don't understand how that really would work well unless you put it in at a certain length, lock it down, and then tighten down. Because I do have a second guitar. It's not here. It's getting some fretwork done on it. I think I showed you a picture of it. It's a wooden body guitar that had a custom TransTrem put in it. And I tell you what, that is a nightmare to get the string length just right so that it transposes correctly.
Yeah.
So I actually probably would prefer, a second TransTrem guitar that's headless so that I could use the double ball, because it's perfect. I mean, I completely understand the headless concept that he came up with, and I think it is absolutely spot on, 100% perfect. So,
And I think you've done a really good job of doing your homework and taking the thing apart and putting it back together and doing a proper setup and calibration on it.
right.
And I mean, it's amazing for that whole thing stays together. So I wouldn't think that you would want to mess with anything but what's intended to be there.
The exact way that he intended it. Yep.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
I actually did a video where I took that other TransTrem apart because there's just not a lot of information about them. You can look up some old stuff that's on, and find out a few things about, the bearings and so forth in it. But there's, everybody goes to YouTube now to look up and see how to do stuff, and there never really was a whole lot of stuff. So
Nothing.
I took it upon myself just to take one apart and video it and put it on YouTube
I need to watch that.
while I did it.
I was shitting myself while he did it. I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah,
He saved it.
I'm trying to get the spring out of the back, and I'm like, man, I think this thing's going to fly across the room. But here we go. What I was amazed about was, like I said earlier, just not only the mathematics that went into all the calculations to figure the thing out, but the way that the bearings go in, and they're kind of cantilevered. They're not straight. It doesn't move straight like this. It moves, one side raises more than the other, and it blew my mind, just the genius behind the design of that TransTrem. And you can tell Ned I said that. He is a genius.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever, obviously you speak with him quite often?
Jeff just texted me one afternoon and said Ned wants to come over to your house. So
You don't get that message every day.
I cleaned for like 12 hours straight, and I cleaned up until like a minute before he arrived. And he was very, very generous with his time.
Mm-hmm.
He came with his wife, who is an unbelievable woman. She's a doctor, retired physician, I believe. He spent so much time going through each prototype and explaining the evolution from this one to the next one to the next one to the next one.
Oh, wow.
And I wish I could have recorded it. It's here somewhere.
Well, he has an open invitation to come on and go through all of that with us. We would sit here for 5-6 hours if he wanted to do that and go through. Everybody would love to see that, because there's not a lot of stuff, from back in the 80s. We didn't have YouTube. So, and I think that there's more and more and more interest now than even back then of people in the Steinberger guitars, the TransTrem, the basses. I mentioned to somebody the other day that there was a bass that had a TransTrem, and they were like, what? There's still a lot of people that don't know about stuff that was there. And this is an open forum. Anytime you, Ned, Jeff, anybody wants to come on and talk about this stuff, they have 100%. The floor. We'll all just sit back and listen. Yeah.
Anytime.
But
one thing I'm trying to accomplish is exposure to TransTrem and Steinbergers, people my age and younger. And that's why, I focus on social media. I'm not, super into social media, but I'm like making it a priority, just to get younger artists and musicians interested.
Yep.
And,
well, obviously that was something that I was interested in doing as well. Putting out the video that I did. I have a show that we are on right now called TransTrem Thursday. I mean, so yeah, we are all about the TransTrem and getting, the newer generation to see it. I would love to see, Gibson owns the rights to the Steinberger name. I would love to see them re-release a TransTrem guitar. I think that if it got into the hands of an artist, it would be awesome to see Wolfgang bring his dad's GL22 out and do something cool with it. And, the new generation go, what is that? What is that?
What's that
You know?
kid's name? Tim Henson? With all the
Yeah, he would do
tattoos.
something with it.
Imagine what that kid could do with a TransTrem, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
'cause his mind's,
Yep.
he's thinking it full
Yeah.
blown musical
For
Come
every
out
Yeah.
with it
voice.
again and do some strong artist relations. and
Being able to throw
I
an
think
extra.
it's perfect timing.
I
It
think
is,
so too.
absolutely.
Yep. So I'm doing my part to help spread the word and get it out there and let people see it. And
Every week we're in here.
every week we're
Fighting
here
a good
doing it.
fight.
Yep. And all I know is just, parroting, Eddie's riffs and so forth. I'm not smart enough to make my own riffs with this thing, but
I'm as good as that Summer Nights is. For me, the quintessential riff is that "Get Up." That one always makes me get up.
I would almost think that would have been the first thing that he wrote with it would be "Get Up," just the
Yeah.
way that it's played. I
Yeah.
believe that's probably the first one that he ever did with it. Yeah,
He's certainly the main riff, right?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
because it's let me just switch over here. It's not really changing keys much. It's using the tremolo as movement of the chord that he's playing. Let me play just a minute.
Okay, I'll make you big.
So he's just doing an A, and then he hits a D and pulls up. Well, it does the A first, sorry.
When you
I
pull
mean,
up
come
on
on.
that D, man, Jesus
How cool! I mean, how
Christ.
cool is that? I mean,
Yep.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ned Steinberger. What I was getting to and alluding to earlier is that did he ever talk about the pride that he had because of all the music that came out because of that tremolo system that he
Truly
designed?
inspiration, right?
Ned is not prideful. Ned is one of the most humble, down to earth people I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. You got to think that, this device that I designed, inspired all of these songs that
I did that.
Eddie Van Halen was playing on Live Without a Net. And I mean, he's got to be proud of that. I mean, come on.
I think he's got to be proud of that. However,
Gotta make him smile.
he is just so beyond humble.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm one of the most humble people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And those are the best people to be around, that have that type of attitude like that. So that's very, very cool. Very neat. So you mentioned that you had some prototypes or something there as well.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna make her big again.
Okay. Let's pull out. See where my prototype is.
Now this is a prototype guitar, or this is a bass, or
So I don't have the prototype down here. I can always run and grab it. But this is the GL2 prototype.
oh, awesome! Yeah, let's see that thing.
So it's not going to look too different. It looks like it has a shallow bridge on it, which is a hand-milled bridge.
Wow.
Bridges, so it's a good bridge.
So this is a prototype or the very first prototype of the GL2T.
This is number 3.
Okay.
So this is
That
the
is-
third. This has P3 and then NS written in.
So
Traction.
prototype number 3, Ned Steinberger.
Yep.
That
Look at
is
that.
awesome. That is awesome.
And this is, I have quite a few of these up there that are prototypes. So this is like the earliest one I found.
That is
Nice.
crazy. Did
And
you
I have
hear
a
what?
bolt right here.
Yeah,
I noticed that. Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Did you
And
guys hear what?
understand.
Did you just hear what she said? Oh, I got a bunch of the prototypes
yeah,
upstairs.
yeah.
Can you imagine? It's like you must have like a museum of guitars there. I'm
Well,
Charles moment.
me and Ned were talking that we have so many prototypes in different ones, and he has a few as well. So we were talking about putting the collections together and maybe doing an exhibit.
That would be phenomenal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That would
And
be
that was
awesome.
really exciting that he was open to that because that's a great idea.
Yeah, I would love to see that. That would be
So is
amazing.
the input jack on that one
I
on the
saw
bottom?
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
On the underside.
on the bottom side. The light
No,
side.
it's on the back. That's where the.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
That's probably where the little kickstand
on
mounts.
the light part.
Cleaned it off a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, we like
I don't see
them.
it. It looks like it's missing its leg rest.
Yeah,
Well,
that's where.
Okay.
Yep.
The
Oh,
light
okay,
rest mount.
I got you.
Yeah, that's what he was saying there. That is just awesome. That is
Yep.
awesome. Now, can you tell us? Do you know? This might be a little technical. Let me get back to there. The actual composition of the body. You know, you mentioned carbon earlier, but is it a carbon fiber blend? Polymers? What are the bodies
Composition,
actually
yeah.
made of?
So when Ned came here, we dragged one of the molds from the basement, and it like so heavy, and laid it out on this table to show Ned, and Ned showed me how they laid the fiber threads of the carbon fiber, and he told me, which everyone likes to say graphite, and I thought that would was a very common, well-used term. He's not a fan of the term graphite. He prefers to call it carbon fiber.
Okay.
But they put the threads and then they do like the epoxy.
Okay. Very
So,
cool.
whereas nowadays, when people are making carbon fiber, they have sheets that have the
Pre-made.
threads already in them. So this is made by friends of ours named Carbon Centric,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
this
a
is
huge
carbon.
pick.
Hey, Fruitcake
And,
Tony, she's showing you the pic.
Yeah.
24
We
mil.
we have a Fruitcake Tony has a show that's called "Show Me Your Pick." So
Oh,
that
that's
was,
funny.
Perfect.
that was in reference to that. Yeah,
Yeah, and we
He's a
have
pick
posters.
lunatic.
very cool, very cool. So that's actually what the guitars are made of. That same type of carbon fiber material right there. So they just have a thicker kind of finish on it. Is it like a gel finish, or do you
So
know?
there is not a lot of people know this, but there is a piece of wood in the neck through Steinberger bodies.
Oh.
So there's no truss rod or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the epoxy the epoxy carbon fiber, the blend. And then after that you have, the GLs have the gel coat.
Okay. All right. So this is going to spark debate for years and years and years. Now that you've said that there's a piece of wood in there, there's going to be debate on what the wood type is. Is it poplar? Is it maple? Is it ash?
Got to be mahogany. It
Fine.
sounds so
I'm
good.
just kidding.
It's pine. There we go. That's kind of a joke in the Van Halen community because there's still to this day, was the 5150 guitar poplar? Was it basswood? Was it so?
Wabash.
Do you happen to know what type of wood is in there? No,
No.
And I'll try to find out.
that would be awesome.
Another question.
We-
You should get a notepad out and start writing down the questions.
I have to remind you.
Go ask
Right?
Ed.
Yeah, yeah,
Come back next Thursday with the answers.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't been watching the chat. Has there been any questions that anybody has? Oh, here's one.
There was a couple.
Jeff Buck asks, "Do you also play?"
Yeah, I do play. So I started when I was 15 on a Squire that my dad gave me. And my dad's a prolific singer-songwriter. So he definitely influenced me. I played a lot of folk music and, rhythm guitar. And, people come over sometimes and, they shred and they just blow my mind. And I always joke with Jeff, these people really practice their scales. And it's definitely inspired me to, want to play more. I want to play Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a goal that I want to get to. I want to use a TransTrem more. So I thought that I'd be playing folk my entire life, but now I'm listening to 80s music. Now I'm playing 80s music. So I try to practice every night. I practice twice a day if I could, but I'm still swimming
Yeah.
every day, keeping this
Everybody's
Still-
got life.
Still quite busy. How many Steinberger guitars would you say that you have right now?
About 90.
Oh my word. So here's a question that I'm sure a lot of people are interested in that want to get a Steinberger, they want to get a TransTrem, they want to start practicing these Van Halen tunes or the Vito Bratta tunes or whoever their favorite TransTrem artist is. Do you have, because every guitar that I see on Reverb that you post has been restored, and Jeff does an amazing job. When I got this guitar, I was like, oh my God, this thing looks brand new. It's perfect. So he puts a lot of time and effort into restoring them. So obviously there's a premium for that. So if someone were to ask you, do you have just a player grade? You know, it's got scratches on it, but it sounds phenomenal and it plays great. Can I buy that from you? Is that an option that you would offer if someone contacted you directly?
Oh yeah, I'm all about that. I think that, you know, restoring just the mechanicals, there's nothing wrong with that. And one thing I like is people who have had their guitars since they bought it brand new, and every scratch, every dent, every mark,
Tells a story.
they want to keep it because it's their story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those people are really sentimental and special. And of course, we're all weird and we have weird connections to our guitars.
Yep.
And yeah, I definitely, my goal is to offer multiple levels for the guitars, from basic mechanicals to full mechanicals to mint condition.
Right, full restoration. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Because I know that, you know, looking at all of the guitars that I've seen that have gone through Reverb, and even looking at past things that have been sold, you know, they were all restored. You know, so
Yeah, everything that goes on Reverb is fully restored, unless it's like a customer's guitar. But if people, you know, contact us privately looking for something, we do our best to work with them.
And I was very appreciative that you sell replacement faceplates for the GL2Ts. When I picked up this guitar, obviously I have the original faceplate still. So if anybody is looking to do, you know, what I did, I got the blank faceplate and, you know, had an artist design this up. And so you sell the replacement faceplates, and I wanted to keep the originality of the other. So I was able to get the second faceplate and do what I wanted to it. So anybody is looking for that kind of option, you offer that as well, the faceplate replacement. So are you looking at, I know that there was something that I saw either on your website that you're looking to provide parts and services for all type of headless guitars. Is that correct?
Correct. So there's a huge headless resurgence. So Prague Boys and Strandberg is really popular. And we have a lot of Strandberg fans that are contacting us. Hey, do you have a stand? Do you have a case? Do you have a part? And we've been talking to Strandberg about hopefully, you know, providing service for them.
Right on.
Also, we think that by carrying Ibanez Strandberg, doing more in the headless realm, will get more attention to Steinberger, and it'll be inclusive. And yeah, my goal is to take Headless USA from vintage to hopefully to even more than that, and even eventually new Steinbergers in a perfect world, my fantasy world.
That would be great. Everybody write a letter to Gibson and let them know that you want to see Steinbergers and you want to see TransTrems again. Now, there is a company that I've seen that's making TransTrems for Klein guitars. Have you seen that? Or I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, so I've been speaking to Steve Boyce and RWB Engineering, and they, in my opinion, are making a near perfect not near perfect, but an amazing TransTrem. And they have an amazing product. Their S-Trems are an amazing product. Yeah, they're aerospace engineers based out of California. And, you know, they're doing small batch right now. We may work with them in the future. Some people are thrilled to use them. and then other people, they want that Steinberger logo,
Mm-hmm.
and they will not budge from that.
Right.
That's me.
Yeah.
I noticed we have a lot of J Custom bridges in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And J Custom, some people know, some people don't. They disappeared during the pandemic. And I think we're going to plan on restoring those and getting them out there for people.
There was a question right there from Jeff Buck. He says, will you sell the Strandberg and also the new TransTrem as used on the Klein guitars?
So we will sell the Strandberg, and we're moving towards potentially carrying RWB. So we're in discussion with them.
Very, very cool.
Cool. Awesome.
And that's something that I've often wondered. If you were to find, an old Steinberger guitar, and the only thing really wrong is that the TransTrem has been neglected and it's all corroded. We've all seen those TransTrems that have all that white gunk on it, and it's pitted, and you're like, well, I would buy the guitar, but where are you going to find a TransTrem to put on it? So that could very possibly be an option for somebody to buy a replacement TransTrem soon.
Yeah, I also think it'll protect a lot of guitars from being parted out.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Let me see if there's any other questions in the chat here. There's one. Rob Blackmore Official says, what Van Halen song inspires you to want to play Van Halen music?
I'm so embarrassed, but I'm like obsessed with Summer Nights right now.
So I picked the right song to play earlier.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs right now. I listen to it every day.
Awesome. Let's see. Anybody else have anything? So Trev has the link to your site, headlessusa.com, in the chat. And if you're just getting here, we've been talking with Natalie, and she's been gracious to offer a Headless USA guitar strap for a giveaway tonight. So if you type in hashtag GL2T in the chat, you'll be entered in for that giveaway.
There it is.
There it is.
Nice.
Awesome.
Very cool, very generous of you.
Yeah.
Fine.
Let's see. Andy Carson is here. Welcome in, Andy. Good to see you. Let's see. Any other channel members there? Kurt5150 is here as well. Welcome in, Kurt. Let's see. Mike S. himself says, I'd like a TransTrem, but I can't use a real trim. Les Paul for life. That's why there's so many different flavors out there, right? So, all right. So, Summer Nights. You've been listening to that every morning, you say?
Yeah, it's just the intro gets me every time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so unique. And he just went with it. And one of my favorite things about Eddie Van Halen is how comfortable he looks playing it.
Right.
It's like an extension of him.
Just
Mm-hmm.
happy place.
He's having such a good time, and he's so comfortable.
Yep.
And that's just like what we could all just dream of when we're playing guitar.
Yep. That's something that we have mentioned many times here on this channel, is just you heard us say earlier, it's all about the smiles. And that's kind of where that came from. It's kind of where that came from, is just watching him play and the joy that just exudes out of him. It just makes you, just want to keep watching and keep listening. And yeah, like I said earlier, Summer Nights for me too, on Live Without a Net.
I know a guy who can do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see if we can get him on the show one day.
Should be pretty easy.
He's right. 2 down.
I'm telling you, as a kid, I loved that riff in Summer Nights so much that
Show
I
Natalie
would
the capo trick.
I would take a capo and I would put it, because I wanted to learn this song, and I knew you needed a Steinberger for it, but I couldn't afford one when I was a kid. So I would learn with a capo on it, how he did it. So I would practice as a kid to see how quick I could get that capo off to get that dropped note that he did, because it always sounded so good. So
Oh
you
my
can
God,
you can imagine the smile on my face when I first got this in.
Oh my God.
You know, obviously once when I opened the case and I looked at it, you know, it was grinning ear to ear. And then what do you think the first thing I played was when I plugged it in? Summer
Mom,
Nights.
where's Dad?
And I was just
He'll be gone for a
amazed.
couple weeks.
I was just amazed at how right it sounded. You know, the EMG pickups, the TransTrem pulling the strings down like they should, just everything. Oh man, it was just one of the best days ever.
If you
ever.
think, Natalie, you're nuts about TransTrem, you've come to a whole new level of.
You come to
Obsession.
the right.
Perfectly.
Yeah,
I don't
Well,
even
to be
own
honest,
one.
it's
I
a
drink.
little alienating amongst my peers sometimes. So it's always need to meet fellow people that are, obsessed with the same things
It's
I am.
passionate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're rarity.
I don't
tell you
even
what.
own one, and when I'm going to sleep, sometimes at night, I'm thinking about a riff, and it's like, well, if I pulled it up a half step,
If I had the TransTrem,
lunatic.
you know.
I'm lunatic. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's so cool about it too is a lot of the joy that I get is actually friends that have never played one, letting them play it and having them play around with it and just seeing the smile on their face when they, see what you can do with that. My other guitar, I took it in, like I said, to get some fret work, and just seeing all the guys in that shop coming over and looking, look at that TransTrem and playing that guitar and, just hearing what it could do. It's an impressive piece of technology.
Engineering. It's a true
Yeah.
feat of engineering. It really is.
And it makes you smile when you play it. So why wouldn't anybody want to have one? So I could have 5 or 6 more of them if I could afford it. But,
Right.
they're quite pricey. Patty is in the chat. Welcome in, Patty. Good to see you, Patty Dill. Make sure you type in hashtag GL2T in the chat to be entered for a Headless USA guitar strap. So, how about John, Trev? You have any questions for Natalie?
No, I'm just totally.
Just sitting back, taking it all in. Yeah.
Well, I think we answered it really. I mean, my thing that I was always wondering is, will the the GL2T be once again in production, or will it ever
Big
be
question.
something that you can order in a HSS kind of profile, or what's the future of Steinberger? Do we know?
Probably all up to Gibson, right?
We don't
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
We don't know. Gibson, they send people to us when they need, sometimes they need restoration on their vintage Steinbergers. So there is some awareness of us, and there is some awareness of Steinberger. How deep it goes, it's my goal to get to know them better, to reach out, to have discussions, to understand where they're at and where they see the future of Steinberger. I'm very hopeful, and I feel like there is a future. Everyone has their own opinions, but I think just like the Les Paul, just like the Strat, just like the Telly, I feel like we haven't seen the end of the Steinberger.
Could you imagine a Les Paul or a TransTrem on a Les Paul?
Well,
At stock would go
supposedly,
boing.
supposedly, I've heard that Ned had built one for Eddie. Is that true? Do you know?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Third question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd heard that he had put one in a Les Paul for Eddie, but I don't, again.
That is mind blowing, though. I would like to have that one.
Right? No telling where that might be. Got a
Especially
question
if it was
for
headless.
Natalie. Jeff Buck says, who's your favorite, or what's Natalie's favorite guitar? Sorry.
So before I got into Steinberger, I loved an ES 335 in cherry red.
Nice.
But now what I play the most is a GL2 hardtail. It's really comfortable. I can just, pick it up. It's like tiny in my arms. I can take it, play it in bed, play it on the couch. And that's my go-to.
You kind of went from one extreme to the other,
But-
size-wise. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, right? But you know, I'm gonna graduate, you know, to a GL2T. So I do play the GL2T, I pick it out, but the one I keep by the couch is the GL2 hardtail. So I'm gonna get more practice in with the TransTrem. That's like my goal for my New Year's resolution.
Now, what riffs have you practiced with the TransTrem so far?
So I played a little bit of Summer Nights,
Yeah.
but that's about it, you know, as far as like really kind of watching him, because I can actually see what he's doing. It's my only opportunity, and just mimicking him.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome.
Probably one of my most favorite riffs for sure on the
I know I keep
TransTrem.
saying Summer Nights, but
You're not
Yeah.
wrong. No,
Oh, yeah.
we love it. Here.
Absolutely.
It's our home sweet home.
Yep. If I could just come on here and play Summer Nights over and over and over again, you know,
But
I'd be
every time
happy.
he does play Summer Nights, there's a copyright claim, of course.
Yep.
You
Yep.
do a pretty good job of it.
that's great.
Yeah, All Dave All Night has looked up the GM1 TA 79.99 right now. It's
So
actually
I can explain that. That's because the reverb takes such a high price
Mhm.
that if I'm gonna put on reverb, we're gonna put it up. But if people
have
call
to.
in or text in, we'll get much better
Mhm.
price.
So
So,
to get the best deal, you have to contact her directly. And as you
$79.50 deal.
how many of those 90 plus guitars that you have right now would be available for sale?
Probably about 20 or 30 ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
make sure that works.
Nice.
I think I have anything else over here.
To get that email address.
So here's a
pretty quick here.
GL14. So this is these are really popular mainly in white. Everyone wants this one in white.
So humbucker single.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take that
This
one
one
right
looks
away.
underscored. Jeff actually makes these new
Mm-hmm.
magnetic
Nice.
pop out,
Yeah.
just like with a coin,
Right.
because the old ones all fell out. So that's the configuration for the 4T.
I still have the old
that-
style on mine.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Look at that.
cool.
Yeah, Don had described this one to me as about as mint could get, and he said
Minty.
Jeff never ever hardly said that about a
Oh.
GL2T, and he said that this one was near mint, so
Wow.
had a lot of
Good
all
one.
the original stuff.
It's true.
So-
When Jeff has a comment about a guitar, I know it's special because it's so rare that he'll be like, "This is special." Like I had a GL2T that I bought in Florida that was super pitted, and Jeff was like, "It was an absolute pleasure to play. It was like more fun than other GL2Ts."
hmm
I'm like, "Okay, this one must be like really fun."
A unicorn.
A unicorn, yeah.
So I've often wondered that. I mean, because you have a carbon fiber body, so you would think that the consistency between guitars would be pretty close, but he actually he thinks that there are sweeter ones than others that are out there, huh?
Well, one thing Don instilled in me was I would come over and he would have 2 or 3 of the same exact model guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would buy 2 or 3 of the same exact one, serial numbers apart, and he'd be like, "Which one sounds better?" And I would be like, "Are you a lunatic?" Like they're all the same guitar.
Yeah.
And what Don would do, because he was truly like an aficionado and passionate,
He was so passionate. Yep.
he would pick the one that sounded the best out of the exact same one, and he'd pick that one and sell the other 2.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so I have 100% certainty that every guitar is different, and some sound better than others. Doesn't matter, you know. I think the consistency is there,
Mm-hmm.
but that's absolutely like a truth, I think, in the industry.
Well, it's the
Wow.
last 10% we're talking about, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yep. Wow. 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 I know that this one is probably one of the most resonant guitars that I've ever played.
Yeah.
And it
when you play
has-
acoustically, it really comes through.
Oh yeah, it has just such an even tone, and the EMGs just sound fantastic. I mean, that may be why they chose to go with the EMGs.
Works. Yeah.
It just gives it that growl that you've got. Like I keep going back to Live Without a Net. You know, when I got this and plugged it in, I was like, there it is. There it is. That's that sound, you know, on those songs for it. So, yeah. This is by...
Have you read the Rob Turner book?
I have
Jim
not.
Riley?
I have not.
So yeah, Jim Riley, he wrote the Steinberger book. He also wrote a book about Rob Turner that should be really interesting about EMG.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you sell that book on your website?
So we're actually building a new website. So the new website should be up probably October,
I've been
November.
promoting the website all night long.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's the same address.
It'll be headlessusa.com. But the new website will just be a more modern layout, but it's still going to be like a cyberpunk 80s green and black theme because
Mm-hmm.
Don's
retro
favorite
vibe,
color
yeah.
was green.
Nice. Very cool. So you also have, you said you're not real huge on the socials right now, but you are on Instagram, Facebook, obviously your website. Trev has been putting in the chat there. What would be the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they were looking for, you know, a certain guitar that they wanted to get just
One
on
of
the
the 30.
website?
So people can message us on Instagram, on our website contact page, on Facebook, or email us at headlessusa@gmail.com.
There we go. So everybody that's looking for that TransTrem guitar, you know, have the direct contact for it. So no more excuses. So one of the things on our channel here is that we welcome anybody in the chat if they want to come on and play guitar, show off their riff or show off a guitar or whatever. They're welcome to do it. So we need to see more people getting this TransTrem guitar and coming on
Yeah,
here.
I want to see all the TransTrems.
Yep, exactly. I was wanting to have Rob Johnson is well known in the community, and he has a GL2T, and it's striped up just like this. And I think that he picked it up. Well, it was shortly before Don had passed away, so he's familiar with Headless USA, and I wanted to have him on, but he had to work this evening. So yeah, we are all about, you know, getting the word out for the TransTrem guitars and showing how cool they are. So
Spread the smiles.
let's see. There was another question in here somewhere. Favorite guitar color?
I mean, it might be, what do you call it? You know, I really want to do like a polka dot. I mean, I'm not trying to like steer to Randy Rhoads or anything
Right.
like that.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
really want to see like a polka dot Steinberger. I thought that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
But personally, I mean, I like my car black. I like my guitar black.
Perfect.
Yeah, probably black. Black everything.
Very cool. Andy Carson is here. Welcome in, Andy. Good to see you. Let's see. Looking for some more questions in the chat. Let's see. James Bridges says the GL2 hardtail is amazing. Let's see.
Do we have anything else for show and tell, Natalie?
Nice cherry red ES335.
Good
Let me
choice.
see what else I have. Let's see. GL4T. I thought I had the L2. Oh, is that a guitar right there by the treadmill? On the left. I'm gonna get up. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll wait till she comes back to ask her this question here. Probably a good time to maybe play some riffs, huh?
Always down for that.
100%.
I already did it once. Why not do it again, right? That ain't it.
Sorry, I had to run all the way upstairs.
That's all right.
I feel a little out of breath.
It gave us a chance to play a couple little riffs, so it's all good.
Okay, it's not what I wanted. What I really wanted was my just restored. Let's see the serial number. So this is an L2 1964. What I really wanted was like my early serial number brush finish L2.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the L2, which is like the original base that was made in Brooklyn. But
Very cool.
the brush finish is amazing. It's really, really cool. It's like almost like matte.
Very, very
And that's
nice.
how it originally looked, and then it graduated to this. But these are known for sounding like thunder.
Hmm.
So they're very, very fun, like one of the most thunderous basses there are.
That's
Very cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
And that's a lefty, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is my lefty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice. Had a question, R2D Tuna. He says, "Hi Natalie, I have a TT1 and TT2. Where do I get my hands on the TT 1.5? Any
So-
in that collection?"
There are some 1.5s in the collection. However, some people modify their ones to 1.5s, and that's a very personal preference thing, because keeping it as original as possible will preserve the historical value and the collector's value, but making it 1.5 can be more fun to play or might be more popular because it's the same as Eddie Van Halen. So it's all about, it's like a complex decision to make. But there are some 1.5s in my collection, and you can always look and they'll show up.
So you did confirm earlier that his was converted to a 1.5. Do you know when that was done?
I'd have to ask Jeff.
I'm curious if it was the 1.5 during Live Without a Net. I mean, that's kind of the touchstone for that tone. I'd be curious to know if it was the 1 or the 1.5 at that time.
Which
Yeah.
one do you have,
People
Ryan?
watching, can we just
You
take
can
a
send
quick
me as many
second
questions as you want, and I'll ask them all to Jeff on Monday.
Awesome.
and do a quick refresh to the folks out there that missed the beginning? Can you just do another quick introduction of yourself, Natalie, for fellas like Ryan Hall here who don't understand what's going on?
Sure.
They'll just have to watch the replay is what they'll have to do. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Right.
So
I see a question from Rob. Will we put out a tribute GL2T in Eddie's memory? We would love to do that, but there is like copyright issues. Eddie Van Halen estate they do own, the rights to, the
Faceplate.
faceplate, the
Yeah.
design.
yep. I
Maybe,
think
maybe we'll work with them. I was thinking about actually contacting them and seeing if they're interested in collabing.
Yeah, that would be very, very cool. But I think that it goes for any guitar or any graphic with intersecting lines. And it doesn't matter what color they are. I think he owns the copyright, or the family or the entity or whoever it is now owns the copyright to that particular stripe design. So you can't have it on anything.
Which isn't a big deal. I mean, Boss just came out with their SD 3000, right? So
Well, that's
stripes on it, so
collaboration.
it's- exactly.
That's collaboration with the EVH. Yeah, for sure.
It would have to be collaboration, but you can tell, stuff like the SD 3000 is coming out. This old school stuff, and I don't know if it's us old farts can finally afford some of this stuff or what it is, but it seems to be very popular. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, we have Yostinator, new member. Thank you for your support, Yostinator. Let's see, any other questions? Let me scroll through just real quick. Holly Lewis says, I thought Amanda was on for a hot second. We're mistaken for Amanda. So no, back to what Trev was saying, that anybody that's now coming in and has missed the beginning, this is Natalie Thayer. She's the owner of Headless USA.
Captain of the ship.
Captain of the ship. So if you have any headless guitar or bass needs, Natalie will be your contact to go to get those items taken care of.
Chief bottle washer.
Now, as you're right, as far as parts for TransTrem, what's the availability if someone has a TransTrem and they need a new jaw or something like that? Is that something that you can help with? Is that something that you have available?
Yep, we're manufacturing jaws. I'm actually going to go pick up some tomorrow.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
we're making jaws, roller saddles, trem arms. You know, it's a funny position to be in because, you know, us and just a very few other entities are making these available for the public still.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, yeah.
When you first started getting involved with it, and like you said, you were like, "What are these strange guitars?" You know,
Right.
are you surprised that there's so much more demand for them than you were realizing when you first started?
Honestly, I don't know if it's my imagination, but I feel like since I've started, I've seen a resurgence
Mm-hmm.
from last year, you know, early last fall until now. I've kind of seen Headless become more popular,
Hmm.
and
Getting
yeah.
more traction. That's excellent.
Hey, John Trev, when did I start doing my show? Was it around that
January, I
time?
believe.
So maybe we've helped raise some awareness. Real
I
quick,
think that's it.
let me get this. Boner Jams. He says, "Hi, my name is B Jams, aka Beesman. I have blue eyes, like long walks. I think somebody's hitting on Natalie here."
Yeah, I think so.
Nice screen name.
He
Right.
has extraordinarily large arms.
Boner Jams is on a show called Under the Bus Network. It is a adults only kind of content. So we welcome Boner Jams here to the channel, and we appreciate his channel. So thank you, Boner
Wednesdays.
Jams. Wednesdays. Yep.
9 o'clock Eastern.
Let's see. Any other questions in here? Let's see. The chat is not too inquisitive tonight, I guess.
It looks like Bo's got a question. It just scrolled past me.
The Axe, TransTrem 1.5 and GL2, which did Edward use? I think we just answered that. 1.5.
Yep, 1.5 GL2T.
Let's
What's
see.
yours, Ryan?
Here's Bo. Wait.
Mine is version 2.
Okay.
Do they have someone make the parts for the trim, or does Natalie have her own facility to manufacture all the parts?
So it's a combination of, you know, what Jeff is capable of in his workshop. And one thing that's amazing about Jeff is he's never had a TransTrem that he couldn't fix.
Awesome.
So
Nice.
he's been able to repair every one of them. And I think it's definitely like a combination of, you know, using old parts and making new parts, and even making things work in his shop.
Mm-hmm. Now, how far back was
Advocating.
Steinberger did Jeff go? Do you know that information? Was he there from the beginning? Did he have any contribution to the design of the TransTrem?
So I like this question because I know that at least 38 years. I have no doubts being the plant manager and being as hands-on. He was even telling me a story about how him and Ned went to Japan
Mm-hmm.
together, and people were so into Steinberger in Japan that they drove a Steinberger car.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, it was a whole different world over there than it was in America. And, you know, I have no doubts that besides, you know, being the quality control, he definitely had some, you know, some shaping of what they became.
Mm-hmm.
What's really fun to me is he'll open up an instrument to restore to repair it, and he'll see his 38-year-old signature on it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But he wasn't re-signing it. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to re-sign it.
Yeah.
So I like that he's re-signing all of his work now.
Yep, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can attest that he does a fantastic job because, and it was so cool to me to know that the man, excuse me, the man that worked on Eddie's guitar, worked on my guitar as well. That's just kind of blows my mind a little bit. So this thing, his work, absolutely phenomenal. So a big, huge shout out. One to a shout out and thank you to Ned Steinberger for designing this thing, and a big shout out to Jeff Babbitts for restoring this guitar for me. I'm just ever so thankful for this guitar. It's my favorite guitar out of all the guitars that I've got.
Jeff's got to be 100% all the time, because the lunatics that hunt these things down and want and purchase them were so eccentric and niche that it's, there's no chance of it of him doing anything less than perfection.
Getting away with anything other than a perfect job.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I've learned about some Steinberger fans, they'll take out a micrometer and be
Exactly.
like 0.75 this way.
Lunatics.
So there are definitely a lot of, technical and engineering kind of minds from what I've seen.
Yep. I was really dreading. I know you said that the version 1 was very difficult to set up, and a lot of the changes were due to that. So I knew I wanted this guitar, but one thing that I was dreading was that, am I going to be able to set it up and use the thing like it's supposed to be? Is it going to be way too complicated? But that's one thing that I was pleasantly surprised. Of course, I've got a mechanical background. I've been in service
you
repair.
made it look pretty easy. And,
Yeah.
the only difference being from when I started watching you doing it to now was when you got the strobo stomp to really
really
dial
get it fine tuned.
Get that
But
tuner in
once
there.
you understand exactly what it's doing, and there's really not
You
that
break it down and
complicated.
make it,
Yeah.
It
So
looks less-
anybody that's
less than
afraid
a
to
foot.
get one because you think that you can't figure out how to use it, it's really a breeze. Once you see the process of doing it and making sure your strings are nice and set, and then going through the rotations of getting it tuned up, it was really pleasantly easy, to see the setup of the TransTrem. So.
Yeah.
I know that the version 1, those actually had a screw that had to go in and hold the strings. You said you didn't know a lot of the technical stuff, but I can see where that would be a little more difficult, to set up for just your average user.
Yeah, I've definitely had to think in a different way than I did before, as far as like the technical aspects of the guitars. And of course, holding a TransTrem for the first time and like getting acquainted with it was like a monumentous thing for me. It was very overwhelming. But I'm still looking forward to the day where I feel more comfortable. And
Hammer out summer nights.
but it's definitely happening. But it just brings people so much joy. So many people get it for the first time and play with it for the first time, and they are just so thrilled. I've never seen anyone say like I'm disappointed.
Oh, yeah, no way.
And so many people send their guitars in for restorations and get them back, and it's just like night and day. They're just like over the moon. So I can see directly, like firsthand, the amazing work Jeff does based on like the feedback. And I can see what it's like for people getting their first Steinberger after having other guitars as well.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, that was me. Just smile ear to ear, like I said, when I opened this thing up.
Well,
So
still, every time you put it on, you're smiling.
absolutely. How many guitars does? Obviously, he has his own business, but how many guitars is he able to restore for you? Is it he constantly has one that he's working on, and when he turns that one over, he gets another one, or it just kind of, how does that process work?
So it usually takes Jeff about, people think that Jeff just does a few things. Some people think that, and the guitar's ready. But the reality is he'll spend an entire week on this instrument. And so one instrument will be an entire week's worth of work for Jeff. And every once in a while it'll be 2 instruments, or it'll be an instrument and a bridge or something. But the majority instrument, it's a week-long turnaround, and Jeff will spend an entire week taking care of that instrument.
Mm-hmm. I believe that with this one there was a refret that was done, and just overall checking through the guitar and so forth. And this thing, it was like a brand new guitar when I got it. So I say on here all of the time that they're a little pricey, but this one was worth every single penny. I shouldn't be telling you this because you're the one I'll be buying another one from. But these things, just the joy that I've gotten out of this guitar, worth every cent. Worth every cent. So
Awesome. It was my favorite thing to hear.
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Let's see. James has a question. Is there much of a weight difference from the GM and the GL?
Don knew more about the weight than any. Even when Don was in hospice, someone came in to drop off a guitar, and Don said, "Hey, bring it over here," and told him to put it on the scale and weigh it. And Don would weigh the exact, let's say a GL 4T. He would weigh it and know exact different things about it by the weight. And that's that kind of expertise I really like. I really wish I knew more about.
Mm-hmm.
The GM's heavier. This is, we list this as like a travel guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Or this Jerry Garcia, this was his travel guitar for the practice amp because it was just so easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember seeing a picture of that, of him playing that. Let's see, weight difference. Adam says, will Labella keep making ST threaded ball strings?
I sure hope so. I hope D'Addario and Labella, I hope that they continue making Steinberger products for years to come, and even there'll be new strings and new things that are going to come out. I have a hunch, that's all I can say, that there is that it continues. One of the original stands was Gracie music stands. I don't know if you've heard of it. Mm-hmm. But they're in the original advertisements. I actually have 2 of them right here.
Oh yeah, with the little loop that comes.
So the Gracie stands were all metal with rubber. Mm-hmm. And I've been talking to Gracie, and they're actually going to remake the old stands.
Wow.
So they're coming back from extinction after being extinct for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of this stuff is keep it out of extinction and keep it going.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that I had to find was a stand for this little thing. And I eventually got one from Don. It was the little, I guess it's made for like a little small violin or something. And that worked out pretty well. But I find myself
metal,
just...
Or is it black?
It's black and metal, yeah.
Okay.
It's just got little adjustable legs.
I think it's the Peak music stand.
It could be. And that works pretty well, but I do find that for the safety of this guitar, I usually will keep it up on the table on the workbench, with it nestled, under the neck.
Parked across 3 spots, like the Mercedes.
Yeah, exactly.
They made Steinberger wall stands that were made out of acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I've been talking with Jeff. Jeff has been talking about maybe making, acrylic wall stands again.
That would be cool because I do need to start hanging some guitars on my walls in here. That'd be cool to be able to put this up there.
Yeah, that would look really cool.
Cecil Music says Rick Derringer was big on Steinbergers. Who are some of the guitar players off the top of your head? You mentioned Vito Brato. What's the Genesis guitar player? What was his name? I'm sure
Mike Rutherford.
Yes,
Rutherford.
Mike Rutherford. I know he played a Steinberger.
Todd Howarth is like a really good friend of ours. He's such an amazing guy. But the other person is Peter Gabriel's guitarist, David Rhodes. He before his tour, they load up on strings. So he's actually going to be at Madison Square Garden, I think, this weekend, and he's still playing it on stage, and that's awesome.
I get to see him next month.
Another,
Reeves Gabriel was another one that.
oh yeah, Reeves. Yeah, another person who I've been talking to recently is his name is Jace. He was in a band called Marvelous 3, and he Jace Fincher, and he was sponsored by Steinberger. And a lot of people in Tennessee were given like Q basses. So yeah.
Very cool. I know we had other guitarists too. Was Alan Holdsworth was a TransTrem user. Trying to think any others that I know of. You know, with the type of music that I personally listen to, you know, Vito Bratta and Eddie Van Halen, you know, were the two big names that. And I'm just curious. Maybe I need to go and listen to some of these other players that have played one and see if I can pick out. I know David Gilmour had a couple of them. I really have never been able to pick out where he used it other than Sorrow. So I don't know if that was just kind of an experimental thing with him and he didn't really get into it. But it'd be cool to know some of the other artists that have used, you know, the Steinberger and the TransTrem and go take a listen and see if you can pick out where they're transposing or anything like that.
Extreme just came out with a new music video playing a Steinberger L2.
Really?
In 2023.
Very cool. Very cool. Mr. Mick.
Reeves. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Reeves Gabriel, I saw a bunch of videos with him, he had this goofy looking guitar. Like, do you have any of those?
Is this, we're not talking about Tin Man,
like
are we?
Teardrop or something kind of looking.
Maybe like
it was weird. It was like a round, but it was TransTrem.
Oh, that's
Kleinberger.
That's probably a Klein, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The ergonomic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Mick has a question. He says, would Natalie Headless Guitar be willing to buy the TransTrem system from Gibson so they could make their own?
I would be willing if anyone wants to send me like $100 million.
I think he means buy the Steinberger name because anybody can make a TransTrem if they want to, right? I mean,
yeah. I think we'd have an opportunity to license potentially some things in the future, but I'd have to win the lottery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if there's any investors that are watching and you want to, you know, help back Natalie, here's your chance.
Tickets to check, maybe. I'll buy that.
Let's see. Jeff has a question. Can Jeff just make a new bridge for Headless? He also makes his own bridges.
He is. Yep, he's making a new Headless bridge.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. It won't be a transposing bridge, though.
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. So there may be some things in the works. Now, I know that there was a version, I don't know if you and Ned talked any about this, the version 3 TransTrem that came out. Did he mention what his thoughts were on that, whether he was happy with that or... because it didn't last very long.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing on that one?
Nothing.
Yeah. I know that the ZT3, I think guitars, is that what they were called, the ZT3? I know there's a lot of people that really like those, and those are popular with some. I got my hands to play one, or my hands on one to play one, many years ago. And, you know, it was great. It sounded great. It felt great. But I was so disappointed that you couldn't transpose all the way up to play Summer Nights.
Yeah, I get so many interesting opinions about that. Same with the people who like the GS7ZAs. So, yeah.
Now, what's the difference in a GS7 GA?
So there's the TA with the TransTrem and the Z. See, that's still a learning curve for me. Apparently, it's like half notches. I really need to learn the mechanics behind the Z. Maybe that's something we could both delve into after this.
Yeah.
Figure out. But some people are very loyal to the Z. Other people can't stand it.
Okay, so
maybe
the
if
Z.
someone knows, they can tell me more about it.
Okay, so that's basically the version 3 is what you're talking about. Okay.
I'm wondering. Yeah, maybe if someone knows, they can enlighten me.
Yeah. I was wondering if maybe it was just designed for, more of just an effect, like a steel guitar, kind of effect on that.
Slide.
Yeah,
or something.
slide or something like that. Yep.
I see David Agia in the chat. He lives in Argentina, and he's actually developing a TransTrem. Have you guys spoken with him?
Yeah, I've messaged with David before, and he's been in the chat before. He sent me some pictures, or he's got them on Instagram, and it looks like he's done a phenomenal job on it. I told him that I'd be more than willing to test one for him.
Right?
I've told him
It's
that
cheaper
too.
to get it into Canada though, so I'll take it.
Right?
Test it.
Yeah. So I know that there are some folks that are trying to make them. I know, is it RWG that's making them? RWG or RWB?
RWB.
Okay. So they have a limited run that they've done, and that's mostly for the Klein custom guitars, like we mentioned.
Yeah. Yep. Working closely with Steve.
Very cool. Let me see. James Bridge had asked how long a restoration takes. I think you said a little over a week sometimes. Now, let's see. I'm so far behind in the chat.
A little bit.
Let me catch up. I do have a question for you, Natalie. If I got to the point where I need a refret on this guitar, would Jeff be willing to do stainless steel frets on this vintage Steinberger guitar, or would he be like, no, that's not what it goes in it?
Sacrilege. You mustn't.
You would get stainless steel jumbo frets.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what you would get. You all frets on Steinberg guitars are jumbo, so like they're actually like base size.
Mm-hmm.
So you get stainless steel jumbo frets.
So he would be willing to do it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll cost you. Because
I'm
that's going to
sure.
take 2 weeks.
I'm sure it would.
I'm going to burn out 2 of my files.
And I'm sure that with that, whatever these fretboards are made of, that
Carbon fiber.
Phenolic.
Phenolic fretboard. I'm sure that there's a lot of care that has to be taken when a refret is done on these. Has he explained
Temperature's gotta be the key.
any of that, or do you have any information on that?
Warm it up, make it a little
Yeah.
fire.
He's explained a lot about his refretting process to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like the phenolic, that's still a learning curve for me because he just lays it out there so perfectly. Like there's a company, Carbon Centric, that might be making necks, so carbon fiber necks, but then the phenolic and the frets is like a whole other animal.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff prefers to have the bridge when he's doing, like, let's say you had like a neck, he'd prefer like to have the bridge as well to set the action.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like his process, he definitely hasn't explained. I would actually love to see it exactly how he puts phenolic on there.
Yeah, I would think that it would have to be a much more careful procedure, because wood is probably a little more forgiving, than this
Some more than
material.
others.
So I'm sure that he has his tricks, and we're not asking for any, of his technical.
We could ask him on Monday.
Yeah, not asking for his technical secrets, but surely, because I've asked
I
guitar.
know a few of them, but I'm sworn to secrecy.
Yeah,
Of course.
I've asked a few shops around my area, hey, if I ever needed this refretted, would you be? And they're like, nope. Mm-mm.
Well, that's really, really good. It's really good that they say no.
Yeah. I would never let them do it. I just asked,
Yeah.
if they would be able to do it,
Right.
and they're like, nope. Mm-mm,
We'll
wouldn't
put the
wanna fool
kid
with
on it. Got this new 19-year-old out of college. Fine.
Yeah. No, if any work needs to be done to this, where it's going.
There's only one
So,
person you want touching it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So let me get over here to the chat and see if there's any other questions in here. I am so far behind in it.
There's a few. Keep going. Yep. Bo's got some.
You got Andy
How you doing
Carson
for
in
time,
here.
Natalie?
He says
I'm
you
good on time.
just missed the GL2 giveaway. Yep. Boner Jams won it. Oh man!
Gonna make it a baritone.
Giveaway.
Now, do you have any of the Transcale guitars? Is that a popular one as well?
You know, I have some of the other ones up, like the synapses and
Yeah.
different models upstairs, but you know, I haven't really delved into them. Like sometimes when I buy a guitar, someone will throw one of those in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have
So,
them. Yeah, I think that the synapses and you know, the other, you know, different Steinbergers. What's the other one? What's it called? There's the synapse, and then there's the losing off the top of my head.
you got me.
Yeah, but the synapse especially is seeing like a huge swell in popularity,
Mm-hmm.
and it's apparently a very, very good guitar, especially if you put the right pickups on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, my interest kind of ended with the GL2T. You know, the stuff after I was like, okay, that's cool, but you know,
Yep.
I was
I've already got that one.
Done.
one track focused on the GL2T. I've seen the other guitars, and I see that, you know, like the one that has the slide. I think that's the synapse or synapse that you're calling it, synapses, that you can move the capo around. I think that's called the Transcale on those. I thought that was cool, but I was like, no, I got my TransTrem. I'm good.
Yeah, it'd be fun to mess around with all of them though. Yeah.
For sure. Maybe when you have all that displayed together, we'll be able to see them all.
Definitely.
Yeah, that would be very,
all
very
this
cool.
all this stuff is just so fascinating to me. The history going back to the original, you know, Steinberger days.
Right.
Just all
Number
this
3.
it's just
Awesome.
like I said, just the
Standing
genius
on the
behind the TransTrem, you know, the standing on the neck between the two chairs, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, it always comes across that, you know, anything that I've ever seen that Ned did on any of the old videos or anything, he like you said, he seemed to come across so humble about it.
Right.
Like, yeah, I've just invented this phenomenal guitar, but
It's just a thing.
yeah, it's, you know, this is how it works, and
It's all
this
right.
is this, and
Does a thing.
yeah, he, you know, was so humble about it, so that
Well,
was cool.
the amazing thing about Ned is he's still improving it. He's still in his workshop and he's still finding ways to make it sound better, to make it play better.
And I've heard that he doesn't play an instrument.
No, he met his wife at an orchestra, but he himself was not a guitar player, or he'll say, you know, I'm not a musician.
I'm sure he can play a few notes here
But
and
I
there.
have a feeling like he is musically inclined in some
He gave
way.
the Summer Nights riff to Ed. Said, "This is kind of what I was thinking. You go with it."
I heard that's what happened.
Take it and run. Take it and run. Let's see. Rob Blackmore's having to get out of here. We'll see you, Rob. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Jeff Buck says, excellent. Can we buy it?
Yes.
I'm not sure what he's looking. Anything is for sale, right? So
Not everything. There's you know, some prototypes I'm not letting go of.
well, you remember
she
that
has 30.
you remember
she's
that
willing
$100
to
million
sell.
you were saying that you needed. So I mean, everything could be for sale, right?
True.
That I was telling Natalie earlier in the green room when we were waiting. James Bridges says, TransTrem, why didn't I think of that? I was telling her that when I was a kid and I was learning guitar, my brother would show me some chords and bar chords, and I would play with the tremolo and think that was really cool. But I always hated that the strings went out of tune when you did it. And I remember asking him, I was like, why hasn't anybody come up with something that makes the strings stay in tune altogether? And he was like, no, that's impossible. Nobody can do that.
Quitter. He's
I
just
mean,
a
that
quitter.
is
Come
such a
on.
pleasure for me personally to be able to play guitar and like play a few songs and it stays in tune. I mean, it's just the best.
Yep.
Having to constantly tune your guitar.
Yep. Well, not only that, but just the strings staying in
We're
tune
transposed
with
in
each
5
other.
different keys.
You know,
Yeah.
that was always something that kind of, I was like, that doesn't sound good.
But
You know,
once
when
you see Ryan take it apart and you see the way it cantilevers, it's not just a fulcrum that goes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the different saddles with the different saddle heights and the way those things are going and the different intonation, if you will,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's definitely one of those inventions that's like, why didn't I think of that? But then you see all the genius that went into it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why I didn't think of it.
Because I'm dumb.
Boner says, I think I need a custom headless guitar now. Jazzmaster body tuned to drop B. See, there we go.
Boner Jams wants a 7-string TransTrem. Right?
TransTrem.
Really?
Probably. He likes his lower tunings and his 7 strings.
You weren't talking about the Steinberger Spirit earlier, were you?
No.
No.
There's the Synapse, and then there's the other one. I forget what it's called.
No. I was telling a story last Sunday, that I went to a local music store here, and I was talking to the owner of the store, and he was telling me that he was in a band and he was going to be doing some Sammy era Van Halen songs, and we got to talking, and I showed him my YouTube channel and the GL2T that I play. He goes, "Oh, I've got a Spirit back in the back," and I'm like, "Okay, okay." And he says, "And I put a TransTrem on it," and I'm like, "What?"
Ooh, a bit of a hot rod.
Yeah. So he's a luthier, and he put a TransTrem on his Spirit guitar, and he uses that to play on stage. So he brought it out. We played on it. And it was great. So
Yeah, I've seen that in person with another luthier around here, and he was putting in EMG pickups and hot rodding it, and I think the cost to do that, would probably cost, with the pickups and the luthier's work, $600 to $800 plus the TransTrem.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's definitely. I heard it sounds really great.
An option.
I would definitely hot rod more, and I wish we had like an upgrade package.
Right, so that you could actually sell a
with
kit.
A couple of templates, and here you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I may still have a picture of it. Yeah, here it is. I took a picture of it before I left.
Oh, awesome.
So he took the other pickups out and just put the EMG 81 in it and dropped the TransTrem in it. So it's wooden body. It was super light compared to my guitar. And it sounded great. It sounded really good. Mine sounded better, but it sounded good.
And then you have the wooden neck.
Yep. And I asked him how how stable it was, because obviously changing the pitch and increasing the tension on the strings, you're going to want a neck that's really, really stiff. So I would think that just a standard wood neck might bow a little bit, especially when you go all the way up.
Probably not the neck you can stand on between two chairs, right?
Right. And he mentioned that he had it tuned where he could do that, and then it wouldn't go too badly out of tune when he came back down.
Okay.
So obviously there's some compatibility issues between a wooden body, and the TransTrem. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah. I think the custom guitar that I have, I think that the neck must have been reinforced with graphite or something, because it's pretty rock solid.
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber, right?
That's right. No graphite here.
Right. That was me the week after I met Ned. Graph fiber.
Right. My bad. Let's see. Cecil says, very cool how Steinberger trims use a single compression spring.
Absolutely.
Which you can buy replacements for from Headless USA if you should need it.
And it's just a one big thumb screw to make your adjustments on that.
I think, I've got one right here.
One kicking around, yeah.
So that is the original.
Yep.
The original one. This one's black.
Oh, never mind.
And the replacement one that I got,
Blue
this
one's
is the old one. So I got the blue replacement. And then there's the bearings right there. So this is the leftovers from when I did the repair.
Nice. It's always good to keep your original
Old
parts
parts.
with your instrument always.
Yep. I don't throw anything
And the only glitch
away.
was almost missing that one washer. right?
Yes.
The little thrust washer
Yes.
on the bearing.
Yep.
It's like, oh,
I've
wait a minute,
already
that one kind of stuck to the other bearing there. We got to
Yeah.
get that off and put it back on here.
I forgot how far I got before I noticed that wasn't
It
on
wasn't
there.
too far, actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't too far.
Yeah.
'Cause you,
And
I
it-
think you noticed that the other one had a washer and this one doesn't have a washer. What the hell did
Right.
Oh, this one's still on the old bearing. I'm getting that
Let me
off.
go double check that. Yeah. Yeah. It was, surprisingly easier to do, replacing the bearings and the springs. But it was something that I had never done. But it is
Being
now
mechanically inclined, I enjoyed it as well.
it is now forever on
good.
YouTube for anybody to check that out.
Well, I know
So,
what I'll be watching tomorrow.
it's really not that exciting, but
for me, it is.
it does have some
Highlights
cool
for sure.
information
and
in it.
stuff that's not out there.
There's
I mean,
David.
you go looking for it and you find a couple of sketches and they're not safe. And
Nilson Reyes says, "Do you know if NS Design will ever come out with a guitar? I know Ned had a prototype at NAMM 2015."
Funny story about the prototype that was at NAMM. Either that one or another one, he had sent here to show Don and Jeff. And after Don passed away, apparently, Ned and Jeff were like, Jeff's prototype is at the house. He needs it back. So we actually shipped it back, and I didn't even look at it because me in November of 2022 didn't know what was going on, and
Right.
I really regret. I mean, now, I mean, I would have loved to take a look at it.
Right.
So
Take it
I
out of
just
the bag.
here it is, and it's
Off
out of
it
the
went.
house. So it's been in this house, and I didn't even look at it,
Yeah.
sadly.
So
If it was
what?
today, you'd be sending back spirits.
So to answer the question of what's happening with it, it has a future that I cannot discuss.
Okay, classified.
A lot of things that she cannot either confirm nor deny
Yeah.
or mention
Oh,
or talk about. Yeah. So maybe
She's written and signed her own NDAs.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
maybe if we can convince Natalie to come back a few more times in the future, we'll get a little bit more information
We've
out
got a
of her.
list with a couple of questions for
Yep.
Ned, a couple of questions
Yep.
for Jeff.
Yep. So how is everybody on time? You still good, Natalie?
I'm good for a little longer.
Well, we're at the 2 hour mark, so
Oh, wow.
we usually
Well, it was fun. Went by really fast.
kind of flew by, huh? So
Did.
if there's any last questions in the chat, we can get to that before we end up. But we do need to give or run the giveaway. So why don't we do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
I
Spin the
almost
wheel.
forgot about that, right?
There's still 60 people left. Now, do you got to be here in the chat to win?
Let's see. I would expect that that would be up
Be in the
to
chat,
Natalie.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
we do.
It's your stuff, your rules.
Yep, got to be here to claim your prize, kids.
Uh-oh. Well,
Didn't
let's
work.
do it
We're
this
doing it again. Fresh run.
Well,
Hashtag.
Ryan
Oh,
Ryan
dude.
You don't have
buggered
to be in the chat. I'll leave it
Hang
up
on.
to you guys.
hang on.
YouTube has a app for that, I guess, right?
All right. So the giveaway thing messed up. So everybody in the chat just type
Fresh
anything.
Go
Anything.
for 5 minutes of typing
Anything.
hello.
Anything right now
How
if
you
you want to be entered. There's 21 that are entered right now. So just make sure you type something, anything in the chat.
Say hello
and
to
you'll
your
be,
neighbors.
You'll be entered.
Any questions for Natalie? Anything.
anything.
Anything
CC
works.
has a question. He says, what is the time frame of top secret announcements?
No.
See, this is how they
Depends.
pry in.
It
They
depends.
Right.
pry in and they
Oh,
try to crack
man.
the lid a little bit.
Even the time frame, I can't. My lips are sealed.
Yeah. Well, that's all. That's
Sorry.
all good.
Not my
That's all
choice.
good. Yep. Let's see. So you do have some contact with Gibson. You said sometimes they'll bring a
Right.
client's guitar
Resto
or
in.
something in for restoration.
Yeah. So Gibson refers Vintage Steinberger referrals to Jeff Babbitt's and to us.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll definitely send people who are like, hey, I need this part for my Steinberger. Can you fix this? They'll usually send them to us.
Very cool.
And I believe Jeff has a wonderful relationship with both Fender and Gibson.
I'm sure.
I mean, years of being in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, once again, Trev, you have the Headless
The link for the
USA,
Headless USA
website.
folks. I'm just going to put it up there without any kind
Stick that in the chat again for
And we
us.
have some cool things coming. We have keychains that are carbon fiber. We have the L
Excellent.
series and the M series. But that's just fun. We should be having, a lot more cases, a lot more accessories, just a lot more coming out in the future.
Very
I'm
cool.
still assessing, what people need and how we can make it for them.
And if
My
anybody,
question would be, can a fella get one of those giant picks?
Yes, the giant picks are available.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'd love to see you play with it.
Me too.
yeah,
Try that.
right, that would be awesome. Yeah. I was going to ask something, but I forgot. Oh,
I'm sorry.
anybody that's just now coming in the last 20, 30 minutes or so, you may have missed that Natalie was talking about Headless USA is going to be universal headless, for all brands. Yeah, Strandberg, you said the Ibanez.
Bit of Ibanez even, yeah.
Right. So eventually getting parts, replacement items, or support for the actual guitar itself for sale, I think you said, on some of that.
Yeah,
So-
we'd like to have a mega source to accommodate headless players so they have somewhere to go and to bring more awareness to the Steinberger brand.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
Well, let's get over to, I think we've got, let's see,
The
we
Wheel of
have
Fun.
63 watching at the moment. We've got 41 thumbs up. Please leave
Thanks
a thumbs
everybody
up.
for coming out.
Absolutely. Share with your friends. Give them a link to the show if they
If you
didn't
joined
catch
late,
it.
go back to the beginning. I mean, this has been riveting from
Want
drop of
to
the hat.
absolutely want to thank everybody that was in the chat. Any viewers that are watching on replay, thank you for watching as well. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and
Yeah,
go.
he's a fantastic guest.
Absolutely,
fantastic.
best we've had so far, hands down.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
You guys have been wonderful. It's been
So
a pleasure.
sorry to the prior guests that we've had.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a giveaway to do. Let's go. We've got 40 entries. You got to just type something in the chat if you want to enter. We've got
62 watching,
62,
40
62
entries.
watching, 40 entries.
Still 22 people out there.
So we'll
Type something
give-
in the
Type in
chat,
the chat.
Natalie, and we'll rig it so you don't have
So
to do
you win it.
anything.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Save on shipping.
Yeah.
So let's see.
I did see a
Any
question here.
What'd you get?
Where the hell is it?
here's one.
It's moving now.
Can you
That's
tell
it,
me how
yeah.
those new Babbitt strap trims compared to Vega trim?
That might be a question for when you get Jeff Carano on the show, who works for Babbitt's. So I believe Jeff Carano will come on the show, and he can tell you more about the Babbitt's line.
A little
the
more of
trim.
the technical aspects and so
Yeah.
forth. Yeah.
But I have no doubt
tuned.
that he'll be on the show.
Awesome. We would love to have any of them that would like to come
I
on.
talked to
100%.
Ned. He asked me if he should get a Facebook, and if he should go on social media. And I'm sorry, guys, but I told him no. I thought it would
was
take
probably
away.
a good
I
answer.
thought it would take away from his,
Mystique.
that time to learn
Absolutely.
and like
His
develop it.
legacy.
Well, let him know honestly and wholeheartedly that if he would like to come on and talk about some of the history of Steinberger, and he would like to have somebody that is very interested in it and respects
Has one and loves it.
and is passionate about what he did and
true.
respects what he did, I would be more than happy to give him the platform and let him talk about
Anytime of any day.
all that stuff.
Take the day off.
Because-
Sick day.
Yeah, and after getting to know all of you,
Mhm.
I think he'd have a very pleasant experience talking with you.
That would be fantastic. Open door. Any of them that want to come on.
And for you too. Anything.
Yeah,
any,
absolutely.
Yeah, come back
Absolutely.
anytime.
We are
We're on twice a week, so even if you have something to announce or to plug, absolutely,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
come on in.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. It's awesome.
Yeah. Super, super appreciative of you coming on tonight. Very generous of you to offer the strap. So let's give that away. And let's move over here. I've got 41 entries, so only 41, I guess, are interested. Let me move over here. Let's see. Come
Lawnmower
here.
tapes.
So last chance, just type something in the chat if you'd like to be entered in.
Anything.
Not
something.
literally something in the chat. Anything.
That will work. That'll work.
Anything. Anything.
Like 1, 2, 7.
Let me get this
Where y'all
set here.
That one
TransTrem.
always gets them going.
And right there, share that. Get over here.
12.
12. 12 is a good number.
There we go.
42 is the best number.
We got to work on
Tennessee.
our graphic here.
Our graphic,
Well, the poll graphic.
it is what it is. So
Yeah.
we do
Gets
what we
the
can
job
do.
done.
It gets the job done. All right, so we have 41 entries. Last chance. Type anything in the chat if you want to enter. You don't have any stipulations as if they're in Canada or U.S.
Nope, we can ship to Canada.
All right, very cool.
Just no stinking Australia.
Six-fingered, yeah, you're not allowed
Even
to
ship
enter.
to Australia.
Awesome.
All right, everybody ready? We're gonna draw. Let's go.
Oh, that's cool.
And the winner is Kurt 5150. All right. Couldn't have gone to a better winner. Well, it could. Anybody in the chat would have been a great winner.
You're back out of that one as quick as
Right.
possible.
But I'm happy to see somebody that got it that
Yep.
would really, really enjoy it. So
Another
Kurt
brother in
5150, you are the winner. If you'd like to send me your information to the
He has to be in the chat, though. Are you here, buddy?
oh, did,
Oh, he's got to be because we've only been
Natalie,
doing this for 5
You can
minutes.
have it.
did she? Yeah, she put that stipulation. You got to be here.
No, we're gonna give it to Kurt.
All right.
You lucky
Yeah.
bastard.
Kurt's a good friend.
Boner Jams is texting him right now. Come on, the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, yeah. Kurt's a big friend of the show, so I'm sure that he'll appreciate it. So
Well, see,
we'll
now
get
it's
his-
kind of a catch because now he's got the strap. He's got to buy the.
He's
guitar
gonna have to
go
get
with
the
it, right? You
Steinberger
know where
to
he's
go
going
with
to
it.
go.
Right.
That was USA, folks. That's right.
Natalie knows what she's doing. It's the gateway thing, right?
Right.
First the strap,
Yeah,
then
Jared
the
is
unit.
gateway.
get him started on that exactly. So Kurt 5150, congratulations, Headless USA guitar strap. So I'll get the information
Boner
and
says
I'll.
that Kurt told him we could just send it to Boner Jams.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
The same posse.
Yep. So just need an email of where to send it, and I'll get that over to Natalie for you
You don't
guys.
know Kurt's address?
I may have it somewhere. I don't know.
So he sent you stuff. So
So any
Anyways,
last minute
fabulous pickup they gave us.
questions in the chat? Looks like we're probably all done.
Winding
So,
down.
winding down.
Man,
So-
it was an awesome ride. 2 hours went by.
It went
Freaked
by
out.
really, really quick. Yep.
Awesome.
So we will start working our way on out of here. Everybody in the chat, you would think that after almost doing this for a year, I would have all this figured out, but
Right? Just reflex.
there's all these buttons and clicking and
Your
all this
muscle
stuff
memory
Did a-
working on
did a good
different
job.
things.
that I'm looking for here. Okay, there we are, back to there. So want to say a big thank you to the channel members, obviously CC, Boner Jams, Nelson Rodriguez, Patty Dill, Ed, new member Yostinator, and Neil.
All right, Kurt made
Let's
it.
see, R2R3 locking up, Boner Jams, Symmetry, channel members, thank you all. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight.
Dr. Fabric, Charles 75N himself.
Right on, right on.
Guitar Safari, Sunday mornings.
Had a really good time tonight. Great show, Natalie. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Always welcome here. Very, very grateful for you coming on tonight. We really appreciated it. Had a lot of fun, and I think everybody enjoyed all the information that you had for us. So, once again, an open invitation. Anytime you want to come back, let me know. Anytime you want to get any of the other guys in here, more than welcome. And once again, from everybody, thank you. There's Kurt
Congratulations,
5150. Congrats.
Yeah, he's here.
Have you guys.
So he was here. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Once again, thank you to everybody. We will see everyone on Sunday for Sunday Chat and Jam. We'll just hang out and do all
A
this
few days
stuff
away.
again. Absolutely. So we will see everyone then, and until then, See ya.